We're on the Unfiltered podcast here. It's November 29th. It's 29th. Is it 29th today? Let me make sure I'm right there. Yeah, November 29th, Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. Hope you guys are good. 2019, of course. First off, I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving with your families, friends, whatever it may be. And just know that you're blessed to be living. You're blessed to be who you are, and blessed to be in this moment, be able to listen to my voice, listen to be able to do the things you want to do, and the freedom to do that in this country. So again, shout out to everybody listening to this podcast. I definitely appreciate your downloads, your streaming, whatever it may be, how you listen to this podcast. I really appreciate it. Lots of announcements to get to. I want to get to on the show today. I want to try to squeeze all this into about 15 minutes because I got a lot to talk about. This is going to be mainly an NFL-centric show, but I promise you going forward next week, I'm going to try to bring in some NBA takes as well too, because the NBA season is almost a quarter way in, and there's a lot of interesting things going on in the league. But we're now at the crescendo right now. We call it the final countdown, the last stretch of the regular season in the NFL. Obviously, college football next week. This week is rivalry week, and then next week will be the conference championships. And in about 10 days, we're gonna know we're gonna know in about 10 days the actual playoff four. We're gonna know. It's a big weekend, so we'll get that in a second. Let's start here first with the Thanksgiving Day games that took place yesterday. That I really did not get to watch much of football yesterday for some reason. I don't know why. Obviously family stuff, all that, but for some reason I was able to really lock it in any of the games. Bears, Lions. I saw the last two drives of the game. I saw bits and pieces of the Cowboys Bills game, and I saw none of the Saints and the Falcons. I actually came home from my mom's and put my boys to bed, and I fell asleep pretty much right then and there. So, but I'll give my takes based on the games, based on the storylines around these teams. The first game, of course, was the Bears and the Lions. And the Bears, they go to 6-6. They beat the Lions 24-20. The Lions obviously are falling apart. Now, to be fair, Matthew Stafford hasn't played in weeks. The Bears, I mean, this is obviously a big win. I still think the playoff chances are pretty much done because the two wildcard teams ahead of them right now, the Vikings and the Seahawks, I don't see any of those teams lining up, really, to be honest with you. They would need one of those teams to fall apart in addition to the Bears really going on a run here. Or if they have a chance to win the division, the NFC North, they would need the Packers or the Vikings to fall apart and them to gain to pretty much win out the rest of the year. I don't see that happening at all. Trubisky had a late drive to win the game, but at the same time, the Bears are not a good football team at this point right now. 6-6. I mean, they're just hanging around. Their schedule is actually fairly decent. I have to look at the schedule again, but what I saw, it's interesting to see. They could probably get back in this race, but probably not. There's still 2 games out, and I don't think they'll get back in this race. So this game was, to be honest, was nothing burger at the end. So again, the Bears won 24-20, and I'm really curious about what they do going forward with Trubisky. Obviously, the Lions and Matt Patricia, will he be on the hot seat? I don't know. I don't think honestly, I'm not a big fan of his, but I don't think he deserves to be on the hot seat. To be honest with you, because you lose Stafford for most of the year, good portion the last couple of weeks. He was having a great year prior to the injury. And the Lions were actually playing the football, up to let's say week 7, week 8. So that's that. The game of the day was actually obviously the biggest game of the day. The biggest noise was the Cowboys and the Bills, and the Bills won in Dallas 26-15 to move the record to 9-3. The Cowboys fall at 6-6. The Cowboys now, obviously, all the noise of the Cowboys is prevalent. The Jason Garrett stuff. Will he be fired? Should be fired. As of right now, Jerry Jones has said that Jason Garrett will be the coach for the foreseeable future, at least through the regular season. Now, here's the thing with the Garrett thing. I'm not surprised it's going on. Of the 10 years he's been here, I think it's been 10 years, but of all the years he's been the Cowboys head coach, this is the loudest it's been in terms of his job. We've never seen this in the last 4 or 5 days. Post Patriots loss, and then now the Bills loss here. We've never seen the noise get as loud as it is now in terms of his job security. Now, will he be fired? I don't know, because this is the same guy, Jerry Jones, who fired Jimmy Johnson after winning back-to-back Super Bowls. So Jerry Jones is not, let's be real. Jerry Jones, he's the boss. He'll see what he wants. And I've always believed that Jason Garrett is in place only because he's a yes man. So, will he get fired? I don't know. I mean, but I will say that this is the loudest it's been at any point. The Bills 9-3. I think that win last night, I think, sealed their playoff spot, because you look at the AFC wildcard race. Obviously, you look at they're not going to win the division. Patriots are 2 games ahead of them right now, and they're going to roll the rest of the year in December. But 9-3, they are by far right now the lock wildcard team right now, and I mean, barring a complete collapse and a couple teams below them really want to run, I don't see really that happening. The schedule is fairly decent the rest of the way. They got New England again. They got Baltimore coming up, but other than that, I mean, they can go pretty much. I guess I could see 10-6, 11-5 for this Buffalo team. And by the way, I haven't really mentioned it much in the Coach of the Year discussion, but we got to talk about Coach Sean McDermott for the Bills being in discussion as well too. 9-3 is. I thought the Bills would have been competitive this year, probably 7, 9, 8-8. But 9-3 right now, and we still have December to go through. That's pretty impressive. So kudos to Sean McDermott and the Bills as a 9-3 and then doing some really good things there in Buffalo. Bills Mafia, you should be proud of your team. The final game, of course, the Saints bounced back after losing Atlanta a couple weeks ago in a shocking loss. Bounced back and beat the Falcons 26-18. I didn't see this game much. Any chance that the Falcons had to save Dan Quinn's job after winning 2 games at the bye week and then losing the last couple games here, that's pretty much dead now. I think Dan Quinn will be fired as Falcons head coach at the end of the year. The Saints back on track now after struggling the last couple weeks, losing to the Falcons, barely beating Carolina last week. They're kind of back on track now. They're right now in position to get a bye week. We'll see what happens in the rest of the year. Obviously, they're chasing San Francisco right now for number 1 seed in the NFC. San Francisco has a bit tough game this weekend against the Baltimore Ravens, so we'll see how that plays out. So, again, and by the way, on my gambling picks for the weekend, I went 2-1 on my gambling picks for the Thanksgiving games yesterday. All right, as for gambling picks, I'll review my gambling picks on Sunday on social media. Maybe I'll do a emergency podcast tomorrow or Sunday morning. But we'll do right now. We'll do the picks right now of the week against the spread. Since we're not going to be able to do it with Zach this week on the Never Speaking podcast, we'll do it here with my picks against the spread. First off, the Jets and the Bengals, they play at 1 o'clock. Right now the line's at 3 points. Jets are favored by 3 points. I like the Jets to cover this game. The Jets have been playing some good football. Won 3 games in a row. They're starting to play much better football. Bengals, meanwhile, are 0-11 and sinking fast. The team has actually installed Andy Dalton as the starting quarterback for the rest of the year. Again, Jets -3 is my pick there. All right, next game here. This is an interesting game here. Wild card implications, and possibly if the Texans fall apart in the next couple weeks, this could really have a lot of AFC South implications going forward. And that's the Tennessee Titans going to Indianapolis with the Colts. The Colts are 2-point favorites. Honestly, I do like. Let me see. I have the picks here on my phone. Let me see real quick how I have it labeled. I took Tennessee. I took Tennessee on the points here. I really like the direction this team is going. Honestly, this Tennessee team. Derrick Henry run the ball really well. Defense playing really well. Ryan Tannehill playing very, very well. Obviously, this is a nightmare on Marcus Mariota. They are 6-5, and I think they'll win this game on the road. All right, the Green Bay Packers heading to New York for the Giants. The Packers are 6.5-point favorites. Over under is 45 points. Give me the over in this game. Although I also like Green Bay to win this game outright. The Giants team is pretty much quit. They're done. Green Bay needs this win to stay afloat, stay on top of the NFC North, as the Vikings are still right there with them. We got the Washington Redskins heading to Carolina to face the Panthers. The Panthers are 10-point favorites. Over under is 40. I took the under of this game. Carolina is starting to fade now, and another guy who should be on the hot seat is Ron Rivera. We'll see how that plays out. Panthers head coach. Meanwhile, Dwayne Haskins should get the start this week too for the Redskins. I like the under this game. The biggest game of the week, obviously, is the San Francisco 49ers heading to Baltimore, face the Ravens. The Ravens are 6-point favorites. Honestly, give me the Ravens. I don't know. The Ravens are just balling right now. They are right now the best team in the National Football League. I like what they're doing. Not just Lamar Jackson. Obviously, he's doing great things, but also the defense is playing great. The running game has been great. I think, I really believe that Lamar Jackson and what he's done has lifted the spirits of this entire team and franchise. Obviously, I have my concerns about his health moving forward. Can he sustain this? But right now, in this moment, they are the best team in football right now, in my opinion. I think they're really gonna make a statement here against the Niners. This could be also a Super Bowl preview. We'll see what happens there. I like Baltimore to win this game fairly handily at home. All right, the Eagles heading to Miami face the Dolphins. The Eagles are 10-point favorites. I like the Eagles bounce back here, although the Eagles they've been terrible the last couple weeks. Carson Wentz really struggling, but I think the Eagles now this going to get really easy. There's no excuses here now. The Cowboys have really opened the door for the Eagles to take this division. The NFC East has been really terrible this year. There's no excuse now for the Eagles to not get the job done here. Give me the Eagles here to cover 10 points. Miami, after winning a couple games and being competitive, they've started to fall back to earth again. The Oakland Raiders heading to Kansas City face the Chiefs. The Chiefs are 10-point favorites. Over-under is 51 points. Give me the Chiefs to cover this game. I think the Chiefs will run away with the rest of the AFC West. The Raiders are right now in the thick of things now, a game behind the Chiefs in the division, but I think the Chiefs will run away with the division. Obviously, the biggest game they have going forward is the Patriots game in a couple of weeks, but in the meantime, I think Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs will get things together now. I like Kansas City here to cover the 10 points here at home. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers heading Jacksonville to Jaguars. The Bucks are 1-point favorites. Over/under is 47. Again, it can be over in this game on this one. Which Jameis we'll see this week? I don't know. Nick Foles, obviously the quarterback for this team. We'll see how this goes. I like the over in this game as well. Let me see here. The 4 o'clock game. So we have the LA Rams, 65 Rams heading to Arizona to face the Cardinals. The Rams are 3-point favorites. The over-under is 47.5. Give me the over in this game. Arizona is a very tricky. They faded the last couple of weeks, obviously, last month or so, but they're very competitive. Now the Rams are 6-5 and struggling. Jared Goff has been terrible this year. So I'll give you the over in this game. I can see. I actually saw a lot of score in this game, to be honest with you. So there's that. The LA Chargers heading to Denver to face the Broncos. The Chargers are 3-point favorites. The over-under is 38.5. I like the Chargers here. Broncos are quit. They've quit. They're one of the 5 worst teams in football, in my opinion. The Chargers are trying to stay in a wildcard race, although it's getting more and more likely they'll not get in the playoffs this year. Philip Rivers, of course, falling apart. But I like the Chargers here. They're a better team here in Denver. They'll win this game. The Cleveland Browns heading to Pittsburgh face the Steelers. The Browns are 2-point favorites. The over/under is 39 points. I like the Browns here. The Browns are actually playing a little better football now. Quiet as kept. Baker Mayfield, much better in the last couple of weeks. Pittsburgh, they benched Mason Rudolph. They got the new kid in there. I really don't have his name on top of my head right now. Get the Browns win this game on the road. So obviously this should be a chaotic atmosphere too, with the fact that this is only a week and a half after the suspensions from the last game they played on Thursday football. Not last week, but the week before that. And finally, let me see. The Sunday game rather. The Patriots heading to Houston to face the Texans. The Patriots are right now 3-point favorites. The over/under is 45 points. Give me the under in this game. I don't know which Pats team's going to show up now. I mean, the Pats won last week against Dallas, but they won 13-9. Their offense has been really bad. Houston, meanwhile, they're Jekyll and Hyde. They're definitely a playoff team, in my opinion. They probably won the AFC South, but I don't trust them long term. I love Deshaun Watson, but that's about it. Give me the under in this game. We'll see what happens there. Pats should win this game. I don't know which team shows up. And finally, the Monday game, the big Monday game on which I wish we'll talk more about on Monday's podcast. But that's the Seattle Seahawks heading. At home actually. Minnesota heading to Seattle for the Seahawks. The Seahawks are 3-point favorites. Over/under is 49.5. This is a big statement game for the Vikings here. I'm taking the under in this game. This is one of those games where if Minnesota wants to be taken seriously as a playoff Super Bowl contender, this is a game you have to win. You gotta win this game. You don't win this game, then you can be taken seriously. So again, and it's funny, like we're talking about everybody's talking about Baltimore and San Francisco this weekend, and that's the big game of the weekend. This game is just as big, honestly, because this has a lot of playoff implications involved in it too. So I am taking the under on this game between the Seahawks and the Vikings in Seattle. Beyond that, let me see anything else I have to go on before we go. I think that's about it for now. But everything else, big college weekend, of course. But the only game I really care about is Michigan, Ohio State. I like Ohio State to win that game. Didn't be close. Other game also, Florida State. Really, that's the only game I care about, really, personally. Florida to win that game, but we'll see if they're competitive. And let me see anything else I have going on. Oh, don't forget also the Iron Bowl this weekend as well, too. Auburn, Alabama. I was rooting for Auburn in this game, but I got to feel Alabama is going to win this game. Alabama now has a chance to really lock in one of those four. I mean, as long as Georgia doesn't win the NCC title, but then Alabama sees some blood in the water, and I think they'll win this game against Auburn. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. Something smells in this game, Auburn, Alabama. But we'll see what happens there. I guess that's it for now. Anything else? Oh, yeah, announcements, too. Real quick, announcements. So, over the summer, if you guys remembered, I actually had started a wrestling podcast, the Wrestling Retrospective, which we launched in July. It was with me, of course, my good friends Mike Bernier and Joe Lopez. And we had started the show. We did a couple episodes over the summer. It was basically, the podcast was basically about, the format of the podcast was watching, or reviewing old events from yesteryear. Well, we didn't stay with the podcast. We didn't stay with it really after a couple episodes. We actually haven't done a show really since I think late August. Well, we still want to do podcasts together, and we still want to talk wrestling together, but we decided to change the format up. So we actually changed everything up. We decided to change the name of the podcast, change the format of the podcast, and call it Take 3 Wrestling Podcast. So the Take 3 Wrestling Podcast. And what the format is going to be this time is going to be us three bringing every week we're going to bring in each of us are going to come in with a topic or a statement, whatever it may be, bring it to the show and debate it, discuss it for about 10, 15 minutes. So you get 3 takes, one from each person, like a round table type of thing, and discuss it. And the good thing about this time now, because now, especially now with me watching wrestling in current form, so it is going to allow more current material to be discussed now, as opposed to just the old stuff. And we can discuss old stuff too as well in the process too. But yeah, that's what's going on this week. I think we're going to launch our new first episode of the show this Sunday. Now, if you are already subscribed to the Wrestling Retrospective podcast, do nothing. In fact, you may have seen changes made to the podcast feed. I changed the name of the show. We're going to put up some artwork this weekend. Change that up as well too. We should be dropping the first episode Monday morning. I think we're recording it together Sunday night and recording Monday morning. So the Take 3 Wrestling Podcast will be dropping this week. Changing the name, of course. Really excited about it too, because again, it's going to allow us to talk about things more that are more current as well, which I'm really enjoying. I actually, it's funny. We started this podcast, and we want to discuss old stuff. But here's the thing. Here's the thing now. In recent months, for me personally, I haven't had any time to actually watch older stuff because I've been so into the new stuff. In fact, I'm behind now on a lot of my wrestling content. As I've probably said a couple times on a couple of podcasts, like I'm actually caught up on AEW and NXT, but I'm way behind on SmackDown and Raw. Which will probably that might be a topic on the show I'm gonna bring up about the watchability of SmackDown and Raw, or lack of. So we have that podcast coming up. Of course, our speaking podcast. We took a break this week, obviously because of Zach being out of town, so we can do our weekly sit down discussion. We'll be back next week, definitely. And I may have also another podcast in the works as well too, but I won't announce it yet. So, but we'll figure it out and when time comes. Anyway, that's it now. That's 19 minutes of recording time here. You guys enjoy your rest of your holiday weekend. Looking forward to this having a good weekend. So, God bless you guys. Kisses. Love you guys. Take care and see ya.